Welcome back to Mountain Connections. I'm very excited to be speaking with the Park City School District about master planning. Chris Guarino is here to tell us all about what is happening, give us an update, and they are looking for community input today, so you don't want to miss this. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. So we've talked a lot about master planning. We hear about it. I think people have different ideas of what it is. Let's go back to the beginning just a little bit. How long have you been working on this, and where have you come from?
Sure. So I've been fortunate enough to be working with the school district probably about 18 months now. A few months after we were on board, the first thing we did was procure a highly skilled team of expertise, varying expertise. So about a year ago, we actually started the public process. We had a master planning team comprised of city planners, communications experts, education experts, and we assembled that team. We started having public charrettes and open houses about a year ago. Over the course of the year, we've had steering committee, task forces, community feedback opportunities, online surveys. We've gone through extensive measures to try to get as much community feedback as we can. We've got to the point where after that year, the master planning team has now delivered the big documents, if you will. One is an education specification, which doesn't so much talk about the bricks and mortar. It's really a plan for how Park City schools are going to deliver education. Sounds funny for me to be talking about education coming from a project planning or a master planning standpoint, but that's really the foundation of what we did. So once we worked with an educational expert and your learning leaders, your teachers, your students, your parents, and varying community members, we established that ed spec of how we want to deliver education in the future in Park City. Concurrently, the planners were working on this master plan of, okay, what do we need to do to the buildings to implement some of these ed specs, and how do we bring these two things together for the future of learning? It's been a dynamic process. There's been lots of feedback. It's been really fascinating and exciting. Today, here we are this week, continuing the message. We've got the documents delivered, but there's really three fundamental prerequisite questions that the Board of Education is facing right now. Mm-hmm. And they're going to take a little bit more time to make those or answer those three questions in December. Something they're well aware of right now is the community has a little bit of planning fatigue. They've been through this a few times. They want action. They want to see something done. So the board is absolutely committed, and the school district is committed to making progress, and we've made tremendous progress. But they're also well aware that no one wants a plan forced down their throats. So they're taking their time to really listen. Today is the second day this week that we're just going around the community and doing these round tables. May I mention the locations? So we'll be at Hugo's Coffee at 9 a.m., we'll be at the library at 11, and at City Hall at 5 p.m. Just talking like we are here today, reminding everybody of what we've done and where we're headed next.
Let's dig into master planning just a little bit. I think some people, when they hear the word master planning, they think curriculum, or some people might just think grade realignment or buildings. It's all of that.
The answer is yes, right? Yeah. It is. It's all of that. It's truly thinking about treating the disease rather than the symptom, if you will. It's a holistic view at everything. You know, if you make moves A and B, then what does C trigger? You know, and we're thinking down the road. We're thinking about growth that's anticipated in your district. We're thinking about more students. Where do they go? We don't just think about bricks and mortar. We have X amount of students. We have to add so many classrooms. We're thinking about what's the appropriate development ages to have together? What grades should be together? Maturity levels, you know, all of that, curriculum connections. And really thinking about what's the best way to align all of this in the best interest of Park City schools. And as experts and consultants, there's lots of recommendations on the table, but ultimately we're making sure it's a community-driven process. So we're laying recommendations out, and now it's up to your community and your board to really decide how to implement.
So if you're a parent or if you're involved in the school district in one way or another, are these roundtables an appropriate time to maybe come if you're concerned about grading standards, if you're concerned about certain curriculum, if you're concerned about start times or certain things that are happening within the schools? Is this an appropriate venue to come and kind of voice those concerns?
You know, that's a great question. And actually the answer is no. Those are really, while critical, fundamental components of what your school district does and what they're responsible for every day, those are really separate. They're separate but equal and are on different tracks. Today is really, or the master planning process is way more about what does the building need to be as an educational tool, or what do the buildings need to be as educational tools. The actual, what goes on inside the buildings, the operations, the programming, that's really to the district board and staff to control. Those things impact what happens inside the buildings, but not so much in our purview.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in going to a roundtable, you have several throughout the day today to
Yes.
hopefully accommodate everyone's schedules.
Yes.
Let's one more time shout out the different opportunities.
I will, and I'd like to mention one more event, but today we'll be at Hugo's Coffee at 9 a.m. We're heading to the library at 11 a.m., and then we'll be at City Hall at 5 p.m. They've been really great. We had 2 of these events yesterday. Actually, a lot of new voices. We probably had 30 or 40 new people to the table yesterday. But then after that, I'd like to promote October 1st. We're doing a big open house October 1st right outside the auditorium at Ecker Middle School to try to capture those who couldn't join us during business hours. We're doing that one at 7 p.m. So if you are available, please come to the Ecker Middle School Tuesday, October 1st from 7 to 8 p.m. and join us in this conversation and still be heard and provide your input.
You know, it is impressive because you're opening yourself up to a lot of comment, a lot of input, but you are definitely looking for that input from the community. You're asking for that. You're not just keeping this behind closed doors. How do you take the input? How do you accommodate everyone's ideas and advice? And
Sure.
people are passionate about education.
It's tough. There's a lot there. We've had, and this is all publicly available. First, if you go to pcschools.us, you could download the master plan documents right now and review them. But if you go to pcfutureoflearning.com, there's everything we've ever done as a part of this project. All the documents are available, the surveys, the meeting minutes, the feedback forums. I mention that because we've had 600, probably now over 700 feedback comments of just people saying, I like this, I don't like this, think about this thing. And it's tough to assemble all that, but our path has been find the themes and find the community consensus. For example, the immediate consensus items that were identified, we've had very, very little opposition to 9th grade belongs in the high school. And that's the theme building on that is make that happen as soon as possible. Another theme is the 7th and 8th grade belong together. I know there's question about 6th grade and what happens there, but the 7th and 8th grade definitely belong together, 9th grade belongs in the high school. The third community consensus item is what's going on inside these buildings is really the most important thing. So it's got to be education driven, and it's got to be driven at the end of the day by your teachers and your students.
You've worked with several different communities, with school districts. Anything that stands out with the Park City community to you?
First and foremost, I admire the positive situation that I came into, meaning, and I know there's always different sides of arguments and positions and so forth. That's not what I'm referring to. This district is in excellent shape. And the problems that we're sorting out right now and trying to figure out for the future of delivering education here, these are good things to be dealing with. The other piece that immediately caught my attention is how informed and engaged this community is. They're not going to accept softballs. They're not going to just take a recommendation because that's what the experts say. You've got to be consistent here. You've got to really deliver, and you better be open to transparency. That's been my crash course, of course, but I had cheat sheets from your board and your district. Over the years, there's been different folks involved, but the current administration, from the day I arrived, the directive has been listen first, be transparent, and let the community drive this process. And that's how we've operated for 18 months now.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for being here. You've got to run to Hugo Coffee. You've got
Yes,
that
we've
first
got the
round
9
table to
a.m.
get to.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time to tell us more about this. Definitely an important project for the Park City School District.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
All right. Finish watching the show, then head right over to Hugo Coffee for that first roundtable. If you can't attend that one, there's more throughout the day. Head to Park City School District online to get more information. Again, thanks so much to Chris Guarino for being here today. We have much more on Mountain Connections right after this.